What is up, everyone? We're back. Friday fireworks, first Friday of the baseball season. Good to be back talking baseball. Got my guy Stats here. We were just talking about the Sweet 16 games last night. Really, really busy weekend in the sports world. Always one of my favorite weekends of the year. You know, like the first weekend of the tournament's always, there's just so much going on at all times. And this weekend, we can kind of sit back, take the games one at a time and kind of enjoy them. We had some really good games last night overall. I know it's a baseball show, but we're going to talk some college basketball here. Sweet 16. How you doing, Stats?
Yeah, I'm doing well, man. Yeah, you're right. I mean, this is like the last big weekend, I think, for the I think as far as pools goes, like it kind of that first weekend, everyone's involved. And now this week, it's like some people are watching, they're not watching. But so it depends on how you're doing. I put four, we did the show. I was talking about brackets. Mm-hmm. I got to brag a little bit before it all runs out. I put 4 brackets in, and I've got 47 right out of however many. What is it, like 52?
Wow.
So far, whatever it is. Yeah. So, of course, it's in my cheapest bracket. It's my $20 bracket that I put that one in. But it's crushing everybody right now. So we'll see how that one ends up. But it's been really chalky. Like that bracket, I really went based off of the betting markets. So I kind of leaned into the betting markets,
right?
And took I didn't just take every favorite, but I took teams that weren't huge underdogs, but were maybe lesser seeds and whatnot. So that one's still rolling along pretty well. My other bracket's not so good. I was talking. We'll do it quick, but your opinion on. I was talking to my buddy last night, a few of my buddies about just the NIL. I mean, I think is it killed the mid majors which may kill this tournament and make it not as much fun.
I don't know. I mean, we had NC State make the Final Four last year. They're not an NIL powerhouse. It's definitely going to make it harder because those teams are just going to have smaller windows to have those players on their teams, right? Like, you're going to get one shot with your top guy and then he's going to move on. I think it's just kind of a unique year. Like we talked about on the bracket show, there's just so much strength up top. We saw with the 1 seeds last night, like the difference between those top 5 or 6 teams and the rest of the country is pretty pronounced. And we saw that happen last night with the Bama game, with the Duke game, with the Florida game. I mean, I don't think Florida played well at all, and they still pretty much coasted to a win over Maryland. So we got some good games tonight. We got 2 really good games tomorrow. I cannot wait for the Bama Duke game tomorrow afternoon.
If Bama shoots the way they did last night, you can't beat them if they shoot the way. I don't care who you are.
I mean, that was basically Gavin and I's thesis on Bama this season is their ceiling can beat any team in the country pretty easily. And we saw the ceiling last night. That was awesome. You have any thoughts on the games tonight before we get into the baseball?
Yeah, stuff? I'm pulling for Tennessee. I like the way Tennessee plays. I was mentioning I'm in a Calcutta with Bryce on, and we've got Tennessee and Alabama still alive in that. I like Tennessee better than Alabama coming into the game. I mean, just Alabama looked so dominant, but I was more confident in the Tennessee game. Both were like 4.5 point spreads, but I like Tennessee. I like how they play. They're basically St. John's with better offense. Tennessee. I mean, they play that really lockdown type of defense, which I always like. And I love the way an Alabama play. I like up-tempo teams as well, who push it and play good defense. So those are the teams I'm really focused on right now. And hopefully I can get through with Tennessee, make life a little easier. We get a few bucks back in the Calcutta.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting tonight. Kentucky won both of those matchups. They won at Tennessee. You always hear it's tough to beat a team 3 times. I think that's just going to be a great game. I did like the games overall better last night, but hopefully we see this ridiculous Michigan run come to an end.
We haven't. Oh, we had the one buzzer beater, right? What was it? The BYU?
Yeah, the Texas Tech comeback last night was awesome.
Yeah, we had that,
and that's a team that I've got some features on as well. So obviously a tough draw with them being in the Florida bracket, but I mean, all of the 1 seeds are tough. So you have to play these teams at some point.
Eventually you got to beat one, if not 2 of them. So
yeah, I think Purdue's in a real rough spot tonight. I think Houston probably controls that game. Like toughest matchup in the country for Braden Smith. But let's go over to baseball. We got the second day games. We had opening day yesterday. I don't know why MLB can't get out of their own way with scheduling opening day on Sweet 16 day.
Well, now they schedule it on Sweet 16, and then they put all the games pretty much at 4:00 Eastern time. You have 2 late games. One, what was it, like two games that were maybe a little earlier.
I just don't understand why they can't start on Tuesday or Wednesday when there's no,
that would make sense. And then just kind of, I don't know, for opening day, they want to make a big deal about opening day. Like opening days, this is it should be a national holiday opening day, but you put all the games like pretty much right when everyone's out of work on the East Coast. Like it loses something. First of all, we used to get the Reds at 1:00 or 12:30 like on a solo game. That doesn't exist anymore. But I think, I don't know, for DFS, for sweating, I kind of like having them staggered a little bit because, if you do have that late game, that's going to mean something for you. We just got lucky with it yesterday because we had a delay. So if you did kind of get a late start game in there, but I agree. And then you put them on Sweet 16 weekend and you lose a bit of viewership. You have nothing else going on in the world. Like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week, there wasn't a damn thing going on. They could have started it then.
Yeah, I even went to like a movie this week,
A movie? Yeah. I don't even know what a movie theater looks like anymore.
Monday through Wednesday, I was like, there's nothing to do. What do we do until Thursday? After last week having to do the playbooks for like the 16 game slates, I was like, I have 4 game slates. This is easy. So, but all right, we got 8 games tonight to talk about. I just posted the playbook for those of you who are members. If you're not a member, head over to Run Pure Sports. We got playbooks, we got projections, we got core plays. Why don't you talk about your new piece of content this year, Stats?
Yeah, we added some new stuff. So I mean, I had the stack probability sheet there last year, which everyone, I don't know if they necessarily love the sheet. They just like the Discord replies to when we go. So I know it's a free show. For those of you in the Discord, you know what I'm talking about. And then, so I got a new sheet that I've been kind of working on. I got to give a shout out to Captain. He kind of put me in the mindset, and I've been working on it for a few weeks. We're calling it the Boom Sheet, and it's basically gonna give you an idea of which players have a chance to, without a better word here, just to boom and to hit, either get you multiple home runs or multiple stolen bases or some sort of combination of home runs, stolen bases. And, on occasion we can find some decent value on these players. So it's kind of weighting the upside of their scores, the volatility in their typical scoring, and then their salary, the efficiency of the salary. So the lower the salary, of course, you're going to get a bump up on the boom rating. So I know a couple of people used it yesterday with some success. Wilmer Flores was pretty high up on there yesterday. So we'll see how it goes. We'll mess with it and tweak it here and there. But I kind of like I just like the stuff that we put out where it's real simple. Like you can kind of look at it. I know some people love to dig. I like to dig into numbers and stats, and you're the same way. Mm-hmm. But I know a lot of the subscribers just love to be able to look at something quickly and like within 30 minutes be able to make their lineups. And I think we've got a lot between the slate builder, the cores, and some of these other sheets that we're putting up on the site. I think it's going to make it real easy for you to put your lineups in quickly and more importantly, put some quality lineups out there.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's different, right? Like there are people who after work, they just want to see one spot, where they can pick plays and go from there. Some people want to read a full playbook. I probably posted a 2.5-3 page playbook on the slate today. So there's different types of content for different types of people. Baseball, obviously a much different game than something like the NBA or what I've been grinding, college hoops. A lot more volatility involved in baseball than basketball. So, all right, well, let's get to it. Let's just go game by game here, Stats. We got 8 games starting 7:07 Eastern. We got 2 in the first window. I kind of like this. We ease into it. We don't have 9 games all at the same time. We'll start with Baltimore at Toronto. We saw the O's get off to a hot start yesterday, hit 6 home runs in that game, touched up Jose Barrios. They're up against Gossman today. Looks like a 9 total going up throughout the day. Charlie Morton and Kevin Gossman here, Stats. 2 pitchers probably on the back end of their careers here. What do you like in this game?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned the stack sheet. Let's just talk about that quick here. And you mentioned it in the Discord earlier when I posted it. Everything's kind of bunched up today, so we don't have many great, like, there's no standout option on the slate, and there's maybe only one team out there that is not going to get any attention from myself or anyone else. But this game's kind of right in the middle here, middle to the upper half of the games that we're looking at. So I kind of like Gausman. I'm working on another thing. We're not posting it yet, but I'm kind of working on running simulations on the pitchers and seeing how often they hit in the how often they'll hit a winning lineup for a big tournament. Right. Gausman did really well here in my projection. So I'm gonna take, or in my simulation. So I like Gausman in the matchup. I do like the Toronto bats more than I like the Baltimore bats, and I think you can get some decent stacks in there with Toronto at a reasonable price. If you look at the boom sheet, there's a few of the players here on Baltimore not performing really well, not showing up well on that sheet. So I like Gausman quite a bit. Might be my second or third highest owned pitcher on the slate. And we don't have a ton of high pitching. What is he, 8,300 today, Gausman?
81, yeah.
8,100. So it's going to afford you. There's a couple of stacks that you might want to pay up for, and I think starting with Gausman may help you get there.
Yeah, I kind of like the bats in this game on both sides. I'm going to be fading Charlie Morton. We saw his walk rate get up to nearly 10%. So I'm with you on the Toronto side. I like the Toronto bats here. Like you said, we don't have any 5+ team totals. I think Pittsburgh it's either Pittsburgh or Boston is the highest on the slate, but these are just right behind that. And we've seen
Arizona's up there.
Arizona, yeah, 4.9. Yeah. We've seen these teams who are like just under that top tier go pretty overlooked in a spot where, like, both of these are high upside offenses. Toronto more of a contact oriented offense. The O's with the pop, even without Gunnar Henderson. So I kind of like offense on both sides. I agree with you with Toronto. Early in the season, we saw this yesterday. The prices on the bats are a bit depressed. Like, it's easier to get to lineups that you like a bit more early on here. Stats like Guerrero will probably be 6K at some point this year. The O's guys are all in the 4Ks. Adley Rutschman, we saw him in the mid-5s basically all of last year. He's 4,500 here. So at the start of the season, you can play a bit more of the high-end bats before the prices get inflated. But yeah, for me, I'm going to have some Gausman, just like you said. Like, his outlier outcome on the positive end can be the highest scoring pitcher on the slate, right? Like, we know that his duration is going to be good. And Baltimore is a feast or famine type of offense. So, they could hit a bunch of bombs here, or they could strike out 8 or 10 times. So I'm going to lean into the volatility there on Gausman. I do have him in the pool, but I do like the bats on both sides here. Obviously not having Gunnar in there for the first couple of weeks is going to hurt Baltimore, but it's mostly the bats here for me. Any other thoughts on this game here, Baltimore, Toronto? I think we're on the over in this game too.
Did you take the over?
Yeah, 8.5.
Took the over on that one. Yeah. Well, obviously, I'm going with the upside on. I'm not going to be shocked if Gausman gets hit, and touched up on this one. So, GPPs, we're looking for the upside, and I agree. I think at that price, the upside is there for me to get. And when I say decent ownership, I'm not looking at going. I don't know about you, but there's no pitcher that I absolutely have to have here.
No.
Tonight. So I'm going to be pretty spread out. I think the ownership in general is going to be spread out at pitcher. So there's no one that I'm going to get too crazy on. Look, you saw it yesterday, and I think it happens more so in the early part of the season, where one, you see what we're talking about with the stacks. There's no one that's really all that high in the team totals for runs here, and I think the pitchers, you can get some pitchers who are cheap, may go out and throw a really good outing. Some of the higher priced pitchers, we don't really have like you said, the pricing is a little subdued, even with the pitching.
Yeah.
And, pitching early in the season, these guys are going to be on count. Like, they're not going to be pushing it. They're getting their work in. Most of these guys are going to go 5 innings, 6 if they're really pitching well. So we could sometimes find some of the cheaper pitchers and play them with some of the stacks. If you do like a Dodger stack here tonight, which we'll get to eventually, you could probably play some of the cheaper pitchers. I mean, you saw Gore just go absolutely bananas. Maybe the shadows helped them there yesterday as well. They basically
the 4 p.m. start. Yep.
Yeah, no one could see in that game. That was another reason for not playing games at 4:00. But neither team could see the ball in the first 2 innings. So I think Wheeler and Gore were just mowing guys down. They both struck out 5 in the first 2. But anyway, the point is, I think you could get some. We could go for some cheaper pitchers, and even the stacks. We could be all over the place. Like everyone was looking at the Angels yesterday, just come up a dud. Everything is so tight here that I'm not going to be surprised with any of like 10 to 12 of these stacks really being the stack that jumps out and wins it tonight.
I think it's a slate where if you have like a strong take on one of these middle of the road offenses, I would lean into it. It's not like it's not like you're giving up, a full run of projection or something playing like Toronto on your main team, something like that. So, all right, let's go to the other game at 7 Eastern. We got Pittsburgh and Miami. This game was on yesterday's slate. We saw Skeens pitch well. It's Mitch Keller today pitching for the Pirates. The Marlins one-man rotation has been used up, and they are throwing out Connor Gillespie, his first career major league start, 27-year-old career minor leaguer here. Stats. What do you like in this game? We got the team totals on Sabre at least are 4.8 for Pittsburgh and 3.8 for Miami.
Yeah, I mean, so we're just I just can't see taking Miami here. I mean, they had a good game yesterday, but against Skeens, we just thought everyone that was my point yesterday. Like I didn't want to go heavy on Skeens, and then we go ahead and there was all these guys cheaper outperform. So look, we're not going to take any Miami bats. I don't like anything with Miami, and I think Pittsburgh here is in a really good spot for if you're looking to save any bucks. Like this Pittsburgh lineup, I think is where it's at right now. So I mean, I think they've got, what do we have them at so the second highest team total on my sheet for the day with relatively cheap prices for the stacks. Let me see. Is Endy in there? Is Endy Rodriguez in there today? Or we don't know the lineup yet?
We don't have the lineup yet, at least in Sabre.
That would make it even more. I mean, he's at the min price of 2K.
He's projected to be in the lineup.
He is projected. Yeah, and then you got Kiner Felifa as well. I mean, he's going to be batting probably down at the bottom. Both of those guys will be at the bottom, but that's 2 real cheap options that you can mix in there with the middle of the lineup. Bard at catcher, batting 3,400. I like that. And I like O'Neal Cruz at the 4,800, batting 3rd. So I think the bats here in this lineup, the top of this order, looks really good. And if you need to throw in, you might have a couple of really cheap options to mix into that stack to make it even more affordable. So I think this is one of the better value stacks on the slate tonight in Pittsburgh. And then on the pitching side of it, we got Mitch Keller going. I mean, I'm not going to be huge on Keller, but he's got to be in the mix for you. I think 10 to 15%, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to kind of be the same thing all season. We're just going to be streaming middle of the road arms against the Marlins the entire year. I mean, just look at this order, especially in Miami. That's actually something that I meant to touch on at the start of the slate. I'm pretty sure we got 6 of the 8 games are in domes today on this slate. So yeah, I think Keller is interesting here, obviously with the good pitching against the Marlins spot. He's never really put it together to be the upside pitcher that we thought he was going to be, because the strikeouts just haven't really gone past that 22% K rate to be a consistently plus arm. This is going to be a bottom 3 offense in baseball, the Marlins. So this is just a pure bet on matchup play with a middle of the road arm here for Keller. So I don't mind him. He's definitely going to be in the pool. We've got him projected about 20% ownership. And then, yeah, I think you have to like the Pirates in this spot. We said Gillespie, career minor leaguer, going to make his first major league start. He's an extreme fly ball guy. Stats, 30% ground ball rate in AAA last year with a 5.16 xFIP last season. Allowed almost 2 home runs per 9 in AAA. He's probably not a long-term major league caliber arm. And these are the guys that we want to pick on. If this wasn't the Pirates playing here, this would be the clear chalk bat spot of the day. Like you said, the top of the order are the guys that you want, especially with the pricing the way it is. Getting Reynolds and O'Neill Cruz in there, along with the cheap bats in the back half of the order, I think is the way to go here with the Pirates. I think they'll be popular in single entry, but like at these price tags, I think they're still a good play. The Marlins bullpen is going to struggle this year as well. So I think we see them give up late runs throughout the entire season. So Keller, Pirates, anything else here for you?
That's it.
All right, let's go to Texas. Boston, Texas, we saw Wilyer Abreu be a key piece that you needed yesterday, hit 2 bombs. I like Boston some yesterday. I like them a lot more here today. We got one of the higher totals on the slate. Boston 4.9 here on Sabre. Texas 4.5 runs on Sabre. I kind of like both sides for the bats here, but what do you think overall in this game?
Yeah, I mean, this is just bats. And I'm not even looking at the pitchers here much at all. I mean, Leiter does have 5.5 strikeouts on his prop, but it's heavily juiced to the under. And we've got 4.5 on Houck, and he's juiced to the under as well. But I think it's the bats. Is this the highest total, overall total on?
Yeah, it's the highest game total. Yeah, this and the Arizona game, I think, are neck.
The Arizona game might be. Yeah, it's going to be those 2 games are going to be the highest totals. The Boston side is the side I'm leaning on a little bit more here. I like those stacks, especially the their big hitters in here. Let me bring up their with Devers is one of my top plays on the slate. But let me bring up the starting lineup so I don't get anyone, so I'm not missing anyone that didn't start. Yeah, so I mean, some of the guys who we had like. Now, how do you pronounce it? Is it Casas or Casas?
Casas, yeah.
Casas. So I had him as one of the top plays. So, he's in there and he's batting 4th here tonight. Mm-hmm. So, you've got Campbell batting 6th at 3,300. So we've got some cheaper options to go with Devers. Doran is 5,200. Bregman at 4,800. This is one of my favorite stacks on the entire slate. You're not going to get it's not as cost effective maybe as the Pittsburgh stack. So I may wind up having a few more Pittsburgh stacks in there just because of the price. But on the whole price, not counting price, I think this is one of the better stacks of the night, the Boston side. But the Texas side as well, you're going to want to get pieces of Texas. Seager has one of the I think he's got the highest probability for me to hit a home run tonight, Seager. So he's there at 5,100, batting 2nd in that lineup. The one guy who showed up just absolutely Wyatt Langford is showing up as the worst play on the board on my boom sheet. So I'll recheck that and make sure that projections haven't changed. But he does show up as being really, really poor at 44 and just way overpriced at 4,400 based on what his projections as far as getting for home runs and stolen bases go.
Yeah, on the Texas set, like Hawk has been terrible in spring. My targets on the Texas side are mainly the lefties. Like he's got a huge ground ball rate against right-handers, but I love Corey Seager here. I think he's one of the best plays on the entire slate. Like you said, him. I'll have some Jock Peterson, but mainly the lefties on the Texas side. My main interest is Boston. I think I'm going to use them on my main team tonight. Stats. Leiter just like big time talent, but doesn't know how to use it yet. The control and the command failed him all of last year. 9.8 walk percentage, giving up just a ton of fly balls, highest fly ball rate on the slate using last year's stats. Gave up a ton of power last year, 1.77 home runs per 9, and really struggled against left-handed bats. 5.99 xFIP against lefties in 2024. And this Boston lineup is loaded with impact, power, left-handed bats throughout the lineup. Kind of balanced with some young players that we like in Rafaela and Christian Campbell. So I really like Boston here. They're one of the more expensive stacks on the slate. But like you said, the pricing is depressed a bit at pitcher, and I like a couple of the mid-range cheaper pitchers on the slate anyways. So I'm going to lean into Boston here. I think that I'm going to be attacking lighter basically the entire season. Like, I'm sure that he will have some high strikeout games, but I think that his volatility is something that I'm going to lean into and play Boston here. I think they're my top stack of the entire slate. Just given everything that I said there. So yeah, so it's Boston top stack for me, Rangers lefties. I think a Boston with Seager on the other side is really interesting too. Any last thoughts on this one?
No, I think you said it.
Also, we just got the Pirates lineup, and that 2K first baseman is in the lineup hitting 7th, Endy Rodriguez.
Perfect.
Yeah, let's stay in Texas. Go to Houston. Mets got taken out by Houston yesterday. Framber Valdez just kind of ho-hum, 6 innings, 1 run, like he usually does. We've got an interesting matchup here today with Hunter Brown on the hill for Houston, who was excellent in the second half last year. Stats going up against Tyler McGill, a high strikeout, but high walk, volatile arm. What do you like here?
Yeah, so I mean, Brown's totals, he's over 5.5 on strikeouts, and that is the over is juice minus 134. And then the McGill side over 4.5. The under, actually, the 4.5 is heavily juiced. So McGill don't have a ton of interest here. I think I like both offenses in this game, although I will have Hunter Brown. Hunter Brown showed up, I was telling you on the simulations that I ran, 6th best pitcher on the slate. So he showed up in the winning lineup, the 6th most. So that's, kind of in the upper. He definitely gets you in. He should be in your pool, but not necessarily one of the top options to go for. McGill was like the 4th from the bottom, just ahead of lighter. So the simulator did not like McGill here, but it's going to like the hitters in this lineup. Let me bring up the just the prices on the bats. I do like the bats. I think I like the bats on both sides, to be honest with you. And Houston, of course, I like that side a little bit more. The middle of the Houston lineup looks good, but this is going to be expensive stacks. You're not getting a ton of, although we have 2 options. You got Cam Smith, the rookie, the kid who basically has come out of nowhere, right? No one knew who he was before spring training, and now the guy's
the trade,
for the Astros, which is amazing. Got a hit yesterday in his first at bat. But so you've got a couple of guys who can relieve some pressure here. Rogers batting 8th at 2,400, and Myers down there at 2,800. But at the top of the lineup, I love Yordan Alvarez. I think Paredes at third base, 4,100. He registers really high in the boom ratings there, and Yonder Diaz also catcher, first base, qualifying at 4,200. So I think having those guys in, that's going to be one of my favorite stacks. But I like the Mets side also. I like Lindor. I like Soto. And at the catcher, Torrens at 2,200 is I think it's a really nice play if you're looking to save and punt at the catching position. I like Torrens here tonight.
Yeah, I do like Hunter Brown a bit here. We kind of rode him all of the second half of last year. The talent's obviously there. It was incredible in the second half of the season, like I said. 3.31 xERA last year, tied with Cease for the best on this specific slate. The Mets, of course, added Soto, but still profile is kind of a middle-of-the-pack offense this year. I think Hunter Brown is an interesting play at 8.8. The projection just below guys like Cease and Castillo. So I like Brown a good bit, but I also, like you said, I like some bats in this. I think I like the Houston side a bit more just because McGill's going to be a more volatile pitcher. Like we said, he has the high strikeout rate, which is why he's in play for cheap at that 6K tag, with a decent projection because of the strikeout prop. But with the high walk rate against a team like Houston, who's very, very patient with power, I do like the Houston side. So I think this is a game personally where I'm going to play Brown. I'm going to play some McGill, and then I do like the Houston side again. I had Houston on my main team yesterday, really low owned. Went like 1 of 10 with runners in scoring position, of course. But yeah, I mean, Yordan's priced up, but like you said, the back half of the lineup is so cheap that it's really doable. I think Paredes is going to have a good year with the Crawford boxes, kind of fits his swing perfectly in Houston. So For me, I think the best play in the game, in my eyes, is Hunter Brown, followed by Houston Bats, followed by some McGill, and some. I'm going to have some Mets one-offs, like you said. I'm going to have some Soto. I like the cheap catcher Torrens in the pool, guys like that. All right, let's go out to the West Coast. We got 4 games left. We're pretty much on time here, about halfway through. We got the A's. I don't even know what to call it. They're just ATH on the
everywhere.
abbreviation.
Yeah, it's driving me crazy looking at that.
So all the guys who scrape data are pissed with this ATH thing.
Yeah.
So we got ATH in Seattle in the Dome. We got Luis Castillo and Jeffrey Springs, who I will talk about after you tell us what you like in this game out west. Lower total. This is the lowest total that we've seen so far on the slate, and I believe the lowest total overall on the slate.
Yeah, probably the number one pitching option here in Castillo, for me at least. And he did project out that way in the Sims. He was the pitcher that hit the winning lineup the most, about 25% of the time. So yeah, I do like Castillo quite a bit, which means I'm not going to be playing much in the way of Athletics A's arms or bats, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Springs, he's over 4.5 is his strikeout prop at -163 to the over, so he's definitely getting juiced to the over. Castillo's juiced on the under at 6.5 strikeouts at -160. So I'm not looking to play a whole lot of bats on either side really in this matchup. For me, this game is going to be mostly Castillo. Castillo will probably be my highest owned pitcher on the slate, and is he projected to be the highest owned? I think he's up there.
Yeah, right around 30-ish%, 35, probably higher in single entry stuff.
Single entry will be much higher for sure. But yeah, I mean, you're getting that pretty good price there at 8,300. Pretty good upside potential for strikeouts. Could easily be the highest scorer on the slate at 8,300. So I think it's a no-brainer. I think he's got to be heavily involved in your pool. And but yeah, I'm not touching the A's bats at all, and I'll sprinkle in a little bit of Seattle, but I'm not going to have much Seattle either. And I'm learning my lesson last year from DC. Like, you just don't play offenses in Seattle.
Yeah, I like both arms here. Like you said, I think Castillo's my top arm, will probably be on like my 121 single entry team. Just so safe at this price tag at home. He has always had pretty severe home road splits. That was true again last year's stats. At home, 107 Ks in 97 innings, 1.08 whip, 3.16 ERA, and over 20 fantasy points a game. On the road, 68 Ks in 78 innings, 1.3 whip, ERA over 4, and only 13 DK per game. So, this is a spot where we want to use him safe at home in that park at night too, where the ball doesn't fly there. So I think Castillo pretty easily the best point per dollar pitcher on the slate. He was really dominant against right-handed batters last season, and the A's, I think, have 6 righties in the lineup. So yeah, I mean, super safe, I think, for Castillo. A's with the 3rd highest strikeout rate in baseball against righties last year. He'll probably be on my main team for sure. Just trust the spot the most on the slate, on a slate where, we don't love a lot at pitcher as like a standout must play. So I do like Castillo, but I really, really like Jeffrey Springs as a pitcher. Been banging the drum on him for years when he's been healthy, which hasn't been too often, but he is right now. Stats, he threw 81 pitches in his last spring training outing, 8 Ks. So no real duration concerns here. He gets, the awesome park to pitch in. He's going to be low owned in that mid 7K range, and just an arm that I just want to be buying on while he's healthy. Seattle was 29th in the league in runs scored at home last year. I do like Springs in this spot. They had Seattle had the 4th highest strikeout rate in baseball against lefties last year, and it's mainly the same lineup. So Springs' expected ERA in his limited outings in 2024 was like 3.7, which is ahead of Castillo, and right behind like Cease, Yamamoto, guys like that. So I'll be playing some Springs. I play 20 lineups a slate. I'll be over the field on Springs for sure, just buying into the arm that I like, and hopefully people are taking a wait and see. It's just a great spot in a park that we like at night, and an arm that I'm buying long term. Any thoughts on him, and then anything else in this game?
No, we're good.
All right, let's go to San Diego. Another low total here. Braves at Padres is the matchup that we have out west. Petco at night. This is Dylan Cease and Ronaldo Lopez for Atlanta. We saw Lopez have the awesome season last year stats, but under the hood was probably pretty lucky overall. And then we've seen his velocity was down in the low 90s in spring training, which is obviously a concern when you start the year 3-4 miles an hour below where you were last year. What do you like here?
Yeah, definitely a concern. It shows up in the prop markets with the strikeouts. He is heavily juiced to the under 4.5. I don't have much interest in Lopez for this one. I think he came in decently. Comes in. Where do you rank here? He came in 11th on how many times he was in the winner on my Sims. But Cease is really the guy you got to talk about in this matchup. 9,300. He was my third best pitcher coming out of the Sims. 5.5 is his strikeout prop at -183. Juice to the over. So we definitely have some upside here with Cease in a great pitcher's ballpark. So Cease I'm going to have quite a bit of. I think I'm going to really pass on both of these offenses. I don't want to have much in the way of any of them. Maybe you're looking at a one-off in here, just to kind of hope that you could find a home run. But it's really, I would definitely look elsewhere. I think we got some better options than both of these offenses tonight.
Yeah, Cease, the most expensive pitcher on the slate, but only at 9,300. We've seen these guys priced in the 10Ks, and they probably will be as guys are more stretched out as the season goes on. We got a healthy projection on him, 17.5-ish for Cease. He's going to have some volatile starts because of the higher walk rate. 8.5% is the highest of any pitcher above 7K on this slate. And the Braves are a powerful lineup, but they do strike out a ton, selling out for that power. Top 10 strikeout rate against righties last season. Seems kind of like a feast or famine spot for Cease, but I really like the upside, like you said, in this park at night where the ball doesn't travel, with a strikeout / fly ball heavy team like the Braves. I do like Cease here, and you're not paying top dollar for him either. He's a guy who routinely, even at the start of seasons, goes deep in games. I think on this slate, I think the guys with the longest leashes are Cease, Brown, Castillo, Gossman would probably be that pool. Mm-hmm. And on these early slates where we're going to see guys who are going to five and fly, we're going to talk about Yamamoto. I'd be floored if he went more than 5 innings. Whereas I think if things are going well for Cease, you could see that 6th inning or the 7th inning there. So I do like the upside for Cease here. I think he's by far the best play in the game. Probably not going to play any bats. I think I want to wait and see on Lopez kind of on both sides, before using him. And I was never going to use him against a contact team like the Padres. But I don't really want to buy the Padres here at home with this team total. Braves bullpen's good stats. So I think it's a full pass for me on the bats. I could see maybe if you're playing like the night slate, you want to play a Tatis or a Merrill or something. But for the 8-game slate, I'm going to be off of all the bats here. Any last thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, excuse me, I'm in agreement there. And I just think if you are going to play it, I'm actually leaning more towards the Atlanta bats, but I don't like this game.
Yeah.
Either way.
All right. Well, let's go to a game that we do like. The Cubs are out in Arizona. We saw some runs scored there yesterday. It was kind of frustrating that game wasn't on the slate, but they are here. We've got Merrill Kelly at home against Jameson Taillon, 2 pitchers, again, in the back arc of their careers, 2 pitchers who really struggle against opposite-handed bats. What do you like in this one?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite games as far as stacking goes. Don't really love the pitching, although Merrick Kelly wound up. I think he showed up decently on my he was right below Hunter Brown on the Sims, and but Talion, who is it? Talion is going against them.
Yeah, Talion.
Yeah, Talion, and but he was way down at the bottom, which I could totally see. So I really, of the two, I love the Arizona bats in this game. And you've got a couple, like I think Thomas is starting, right? I think their lineup is out. And I think you got Alec Thomas in there, which if you want to save a couple of bucks, I think he was at like $2,100 or something like that. Really makes, so he's starting batting seventh. And Pavin Smith's another guy here batting fifth that I think you get some value. So when you pair him up with a Corbin Carroll, who I have as one of the top plays in the entire slate at 5,800, it makes it more palatable if you could throw Smith and or Thomas in there with Carroll and Marte and Suarez. I think 3,400 is a really good price as well. So I like this. I like this offense here for Arizona tonight. It's going to be one of my favorite stacks on the entire slate. But then the number one option on the boom sheet is Kyle Tucker tonight. So Kyle Tucker shows up. He's the number one guy. He's priced up there, 5,900. But I don't think you can get away with not playing some Cub stacks here as well. They are going to be. It's going to be a little tougher to get these Cub stacks in. They're going to be a little higher priced. A guy who crushed me last night in the 2-game late night, Amaya. You could get down at he's batting ninth at a price of 2,200, so you could get a little bit of savings there. But I think the Arizona stacks really play well tonight, and you can with secondary stacks mixed in around the board. But I like the way the Arizona stack looks to me. Yeah,
me too. Tyon in his entire career has been pretty deaf on righties and just gotten hammered by lefties. And Arizona is going to profile really well against right-handed pitching, especially with the pickup of Josh Naylor there in the heart of the order, left-handed bat. So I really like the Snakes here. I think you can argue that they're the best stack on the slate. I'll be trying to play as many of the lefties as I can, just because, like I said, Tyon does suppress power and everything against the righties. So lean towards the lefties on Arizona, and kind of the same on the Cubs side. Ian Happ, Kyle Tucker, Michael Busch, Crow Armstrong are the lefties in the lineup for the Cubs. They do have the rookie Matt Shaw, who made the team out of camp. He's going to be a good stick at third base. So I like him too down at the bottom of the order. So I like bats on both sides here. We kind of saw like the common trope on Kelly is that, he's always been great at home and bad on the road. Well, that kind of not flipped last year, but he's just getting older. So he's just not going to be great anywhere, I think, kind of moving forward. So I like the bats on both sides here with a strong lean to Arizona and definitely the lefties in this order. We don't have the Cubs lineup yet, but I think that they're going to be running a pretty similar lineup against right-handed pitching, at least to start the year. All right, we got one game left. Interesting one to talk about. The Tigers. Skubal gave up a 3-run bomb to Teoscar Hernandez last night. The Dodgers go to 3-0. The Dodgers are hosting them again. We got Flaherty and Yamamoto as the starters in this one, Stats.
Yeah, so I mean, right out the chute, I mean, a lot of people are going to like Yamamoto here against Detroit. Detroit's got the lowest team total on the entire slate, so obviously the pitcher's going to get a lot of love here. I think the guy who's not going to be owned, Flaherty, could be interesting. I mean, I do like Dodger stacks, but I think he's going to be lower owned than he maybe should be, certainly against the Dodgers. So if you're looking for he's 8,500. It's not exactly cheap. So that's why I don't think anyone's going to be on him, but I wouldn't be shocked if he gives you a decent performance here. I mean, the betting market's not great. We're looking at on Yamamoto at 6.5, but Flaherty, it's 4.5 strikeouts, heavily juiced though to the over. So it's more like a 5.5 over strikeout total. So, for a pitcher it's one of the better strikeout totals for a pitcher. It's the best one for a pitcher who's not going to get taken at all. He's just not going to be owned in any of these leagues, any of these lineups. So, I mean, I think look, you're going against the best team in baseball. I get it. But if you want to throw a curveball in there, I think Flaherty's at least playable. With that said, obviously the Dodger bats will be they're probably the most expensive stack, I would think, on the on this slate from just eyeballing it. And the boom sheet, it's got the likely names here: Ohtani, Betts, I think Muncy are all on the elite level. So if you're looking at the elite guys from that lineup, and then just the high level, Teoscar and Freddie. So it's really just Dodgers top 5 guys in that entire game. Ohtani, of course, I don't really need to mention it, but he's one of the top threats for the home run here tonight. Plus, he gives you the stolen base threat. So, yeah, there'll be a lot of
the sheet
Dodger
is
stacks.
Is if Ohtani's at the top,
Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly. Someone actually asked in the Discord earlier if it's okay to throw Ohtani in there as a single piece and as a one-off. And I'm like, Ohtani is always in play for any way in any facet that you want to play him. So he's at 6,300 though, not cheap, and there will be some ownership here. I mean, the Dodgers will get some ownership. That's why I said it's a little bit of leverage play. I could see Flaherty stepping up and having a big game, especially early in the season. But they are in LA, so it's not exactly a weather situation that we're worried about. But I could see him as a little bit of a leverage play. But yeah, not going to go near the Tiger bats. And certainly Dodger bats for me, I'll have plenty of it, but I'm going to sneak in some Flaherty lineups, like I said, just to see if I could have some, because I don't like the other pitchers in the ones that we like Boston, Texas, or the Chicago. Like, I don't like those pitchers. I think Flaherty, if I'm going to try to find one guy low owned, I think he could be the guy.
Yeah, I mean, well, he obviously has the talent. Had an insane year last year. I will say the 2 bumps up for Flaherty here is, we've got Betts off the illness where he lost a bunch of weight, probably not all the way back yet. And you have Austin Barnes in there over Will Smith. So, that makes the lineup a little bit easier for Flaherty. I'm going to be playing the Dodgers as secondary stacks, one-offs, because of these price tags. I like, obviously, Shohei, Teoscar, Muncy, and I have Conforto in there as well, the lefty. So I think Yamamoto's an interesting discussion point. We didn't talk about him too much. He's going to be, right now, he projects as the highest owned pitcher on the slate. Captain has a low projection on him. So Sabres got him 17-ish. Captain's got 13.98. So Captain, pretty bearish on Yamamoto here. I think it's risky at that price just because I just don't see any way that he pitches one pitch over 5 innings. Like, that's the absolute cap. And I think we're going to see that for most of the Dodgers starters for the first couple of weeks. Their goal isn't to win games in March. Their goal is to have Yamamoto healthy in October, November. So I'm a bit tepid on Yamamoto as the highest owned pitcher on the slate. I do get the upside. The K-prop is good, but you just don't have as much bandwidth when you know that like the max is 5 innings. What do you think?
I totally agree. I mean, the other thing that you worry about there is I don't put too much weight in wins, but if you only go 5 innings, you're limiting your chances of getting the win as well. You've got a lot of relief pitcher innings in there that can mess that up for you. So, but someone had mentioned he's got a 7 projection. That could be the projection, but if you look at the betting markets, it's really under 6.5 is heavily juiced. So he's closer to like a 6 projection, and innings are a key part of accumulating points as well. And so I agree with you. If 5 is kind of the ceiling, he's got a definite cap here. And for GPPs, you don't like to have a pitcher with a capped upside. So I'm going to be lower than the market on Yamamoto. Where did he finish? I don't think I mentioned like where. So he actually came in for me 5th overall on the simulator. So there was just quite a few pitchers ahead of him. So I'll be lighter than the market, I hope, tonight on Yamamoto. But that doesn't mean I'm going to be taking any Tigers. And like I said, I'll be taking. I'm going to take Flaherty in over the market. I might go like 10%, 8 or 9% Flaherty, somewhere in that range, just to see if I could catch some leverage on the field.
Yeah, it's kind of an odd slate of pitching, right? Where I usually try to, pare my pool down pretty tight for my 20 lineups. I kind of want to just have some of a lot of these guys, and just not go crazy with anyone on this slate, especially early in the year, is kind of how I'm looking at it here. And it sounds like you're kind of
I'm in a similar boat. Like, so if we're talking construction, and this goes for almost every sport, I always look at everything kind of like a you pull one lever and then like the other side rises. So if we're going to kind of spread out pitching, then I want to be a little bit more focused maybe on my stacks. So if you just want to, if you like, I'm building 150, if you're building 20 and you want to pick, how many do you usually put in your 20? Like, how many pitchers do you typically use?
It's pretty slate dependent, but I usually try to get down to like 5.
Right. So if you have 5 normally, and maybe tonight you have 7.
I have 8 right now.
8. Okay. So that means to me,
I'd want to really stacks. Yeah.
I'd want to tighten my stacks up.
Yeah.
So, if I use 5 stacks normally, maybe I'm down to 3 stacks just to kind of balance it out in that way. So that's kind of how I'm going to be looking at it. And I'm in a similar boat. I want to spread it out with the pitching. I think there's a lot of pitching options that get there tonight. I felt that way yesterday, and it kind of proved out to be true. I think the same holds true for tonight. So I'm going to take some more stands on the on some of these bats and kind of spread out the pitching that I think a lot of these pitchers. Hey, you look at the big GPP yesterday. It wasn't even one of the top scorers. Who was it? Scored like single digits and made it to the winner.
Yeah,
it was a wacky lineup last night.
Yeah, pitcher with like 8 DK was in the winner.
Exactly. When you had, and Gore was not in there with 38 points.
Right.
So it was, it happens that way. But I think we can get. I think tonight's one of those days where we're going to spread it out. You could do it the opposite. Look, if you have a strong opinion, you disagree with with Steve and I, you got a strong opinion on pitchers. It's not a bad slate to spread it out with the bats either, because I just feel better about the bats than I do the pitching.
Yeah,
but
same.
if you're the opposite, go ahead and do the opposite and kind of spread out your stacks and really focus in. If there's 2 or 3 pitchers that you really like, just hammer them.
Yep. All right. Well, let's wrap up with a couple of things at the end of the show here that we like to do. Since we just talked about the pitching, let's start there. Who's your most important pitcher on this slate? You think more over the field than any else?
I think it might be Gausman. I might be higher on him than most anyone. I think Castillo's going to be my highest owned, but I think Gausman will be the guy that is my highest leverage play. And of course, if Flaherty does anything, no one's going to have him. So that would be a big boost as well.
Yeah, Castillo will be my highest owned pitcher, but my most important one's going to be Springs. I'm going to lean into that in that same game. I just think he's a really talented arm with strikeout upside that doesn't project great. So I see like 11% right now on Saber. I'll probably end up 20, 25-ish on Springs. I like the cheap price, and we do like a lot of the expensive bats on this slate. So that kind of dovetails into that. All right, let's do stacks real quick. It's your top stack and then top low-owned contrarian team.
Yeah, so I think Arizona might be my top stack here, but I'm not 100. I think they're going to probably wind up being my top stack. I don't know if it's contrarian, but if you're looking for the cheaper ones, I really like that Pittsburgh stack as well. So I don't they'll be owned for sure, but those are a couple of stacks that I'm really high on here tonight.
Yeah, I think it's Boston. Like it's nose and nose with Boston, Arizona for me. I might end up just playing both on my main, but I think it's Boston for me. And then I think for contrarian, that first game, the Toronto side, I think is interesting up against a pitcher in Chuck Morton, who we saw the volatility on a start-by-start basis last year, and now he's a year older, kind of at the end of his rope. So I think Toronto is really interesting for tournaments here. All right, let's close out with the home run call. Have some fun. Pick a guy to go deep today.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. You like the Boston game, so I'm gonna go with Devers for the dong.
Yeah, I think hopefully we get like some back-to-back action, because I'm going to go with Cassis there in the 4-hole big-time pop. I like his price under 4K. Getting a power bat like him at 4K is nice. All right, that's it for us. We went through all 8 games.
Who's your best DFS play? Your best play. Who's going to score the
Jarren Duran. I'll just stick with the Red Sox.
All right, and I'm going to go with Eugenio Suarez.
Eugenio Suarez, nice, Gino. All right, yeah. So I will be on shows, I believe, Tuesdays and Fridays, pending prior plans, I guess, travel, stuff like that. I'll be on Playbooks the same days. Stats and I will be with you every Friday, taking you into every weekend of baseball. This was fun. It was good to have the 8 game and not like the 15 game slate to start off
right season, out the chute. Yeah, for sure.
Right. I do want to give a quick shout out to one of our members, Ice Hoya, who's in the college basketball championship tonight. It's a head-to-head, the king of the bracket.
Oh, nice.
He made it all the way through. You have to win 6 straight head-to-heads on the first 6 days of the tournament. So he is in the championship. I got knocked out in the Elite 8. So good luck to Hoya tonight. We'll be rooting in the College Hoops chat.
Absolutely.
All right, we will be back next week. Enjoy the baseball. Enjoy the Sweet 16 games tonight. Hopefully we get Bama through tomorrow, Stats, and we're able to be talking about their Final Four game next week on the show.
I hope so.
All right, for Stats, I'm Steve. We'll see you all next week.